I saw it as a blessing from day one. And I try to instill that with young mamas, that if you see it as, oh, woe is me, I got pregnant, okay, I'm single, then that's how your life is going to unfold. But if you see it as, wow, this is wonderful, I have an opportunity to do for another human being outside of myself, to think of something, someone more important than my own self-interest, because all 16, 17-year-olds basically want to know how they look. Do I look good? Is someone interested in me? What's going on in my life? When you've got a baby, if you're going to really make it positive, then you've got to make certain that you see it as a positive occurrence. Where are you going, John? Yes, sir.
A few years ago, I asked this of Bob Johnson from BET.
I know where Bob Johnson's from.
I know you know what I'm talking about. And I said to him, you know, we perceive you as a very successful business person, but have you ever dealt with failure in one of your business endeavors, and how'd you get around it?
No, because I don't see failure as an option. I see failure as an opportunity to figure out how to do something different and new. I don't see an obstacle as a problem. I see it as a challenge. And that's just basically been my personality, thank God, all of my life. Because, as I said, just like with having a baby as a teenager, if you see something positive coming out of what has happened, then the whole outcome is going to be different. So, no, I have not seen failures. If I have asked the question, if there's anything about my life that I would do over, quite honestly, it would be have more children. Alfred would not have been an only child. Okay, all right. My coach has told me that I'm to tell you, Urban One is our new corporate name. And our, excuse me, corporate entity that was the parent corporation for all of our other companies, Radio One Incorporated. It has gotten so competitive now in the television cable landscape that it was compromising us when we would go forth with our portfolio saying Radio One, and those who did not want to necessarily buy black-owned media could use it as an excuse not to do business with us, saying, we thought you were radio only. I'm like, you ever heard of a radio station named TV One? But, so we changed our urban name to Urban One, our corporate umbrellas that all of our companies report to and reside under. So Urban One is the parent corporation for Radio One, which is the foundation for all of our companies. TV One, I1 Digital, which is our internet company, Reach Media, Syndication One, and who did I miss, Alfred? Anybody? Radio One?
National Harbor.
Oh, thank you. So, Alfred, I'm proud to say, he got his MBA from the Wharton School of Business and decided that he would take us public, and I became the first African-American woman to chair a publicly held corporation. And then MGM decided that they wanted to build a casino that is considered Washington, D.C., but it's actually right where Washington, Virginia, and the District of Columbia all come together, right on the water. And I'm proud to say that we're a minority investor. We have diversified into the gaming business. We're a minority investor in the MGM Casino on the harbor in Washington, D.C. National Harbor is what the area is called. There's a Gaylord, there's a whole massive development in that area. And the MGM now has been open 2 years?
It'd be 2 years in December.
2 years in December that it's been open, and it's very interesting because it has a sizable international clientele. People come from around the world to National Harbor, to the MGM, so we're proud that we're invested in that.
So will the recent Supreme Court ruling on sports betting have any effect on the casino?
I don't know. What do you think, Albert? Why don't you come up here if you don't mind?
No, sure. It likely will. These regional casinos that are in states that actually don't allow it. Jersey's going to be the first one. They started the the lawsuit, but ultimately there'll be sports books in all of these, these regional casinos, which should ultimately add to the gaming revenue coffers of these organizations. And so it'll be good for the industry and it'll be good for this particular project.
Cathy, what was it that drew you so passionately to media?
My mother, who, by the way, for those of you who didn't see it, I designed this skirt. Alfred and I are founding sponsors of the Smithsonian Museum of African American History and Culture. And President, you getting a call?
Yes, it's probably.
You want me to answer it before you do it?
This is somebody from the casino.
All that money he was bragging about. So I wanted to do something unique for the opening of the museum, so I designed this fabric. And my mother and father are on this fabric. And so this is my mother and my father. And though they could not be here with me today, I wore the skirt in their honor, because I know that they would be so very proud of me, so very proud. And I know that my mama, I can hear her saying, my mother's still alive. She's 94, but she suffers from dementia. She lives with my sister in Sarasota, Florida. I can hear my mama saying, they're not going to change the name of Paxton Boulevard. So pictures and everything, and it's interesting. My mother understands what's occurring. She just can't remember it all the time. My mother, we tease her and tell her she has convenient dementia, because sometimes she does remember. Yeah, so, I'm sorry.
Ms. Hughes, my name is William King. I'm the owner of 95.7 The Boss.
Yes, you are. A big round of applause.
I'm actually walking in your footsteps, growing up in the projects. What advice would you give a young executive of longevity, convincing this community that radio is a valuable tool?
Well, I'm going to tell you what Jesse Jackson said to me. It was on his 30th wedding anniversary, and during that time I was hosting the morning show. And I said to him, how do you be in the spotlight? How do you become a national, international figure like yourself and still hold a marriage together? This was during a troubled time for Reverend Jackson. And Jesse said that business was just like marriage. The only time it fails is when you give up. Right. When you refuse to give up, you have the longevity, you have the success. But when you throw in the towel and say it's too hard or it's not going to work, then it's over. So my advice is, don't throw in the towel, just hang in there no matter how. Another piece of advice I would give to, and that I share with entrepreneurs all the time, and Johnny and I were laughing about it yesterday. Be careful when you share the rough times. All businesses are in a cycle. You have uptown times, you have downtime. You have to be very careful how you share your bad times, your difficult challenges with those who love you, because they will give you the worst advice you ever received. They give it from a perspective of love. When I was sleeping on the floor in the radio station, my mother begged me, hung up telephones, screamed and hollered, get yourself a good government job. You got a great work ethic. Security. Get the security. Go and get yourself a government job, Cathy. You're sleeping on the floor in a sleeping bag. Okay, this is over. You cannot go forward. She said that because she didn't want her oldest child sleeping in a sleeping bag on the floor. It was the worst advice anyone could have ever given me. Suppose I had given up. So thank God before she lost, the majority of her memory, I said to her, that was some bad advice you gave me. And she said, thank God you didn't listen. But the reality is that sometimes we complain to those whom we love, not realizing that those people will give us advice out of love and concern for us that will turn us around, will stop us. Sometimes we're right at crossing the goal line, and someone says, I don't know, and you start to have second thoughts. So that's the reason I'm a praying woman. I talk to God about my problems.
Stay right here. First of all, we want to thank all of you for coming. For the friends and family, if you could bear with us a moment. For the networks, we're going to give you an opportunity to maybe have an individual camera time with you. I'd ask that you be respectful for the other well, you probably won't be successful. But so what we're going to do is we're going to break the formal conference. Those of you who want to from the networks can have short interviews. And I want to remind you that at noon we're going to come back here, have a short program, and then actually go across the grass here for the actual street naming ceremony. Everybody clear? All minds clear. So,
can I say one more
yes,
thing?
yes.
I've got to acknowledge the person, my friends who are here, my relatives, my family members, but I would not be standing here today talking to you about Urban One and all of our various entrepreneurial ventures if it had not been for a man named Terry Jones who loaned me my first $1 million and his wife Marcella just came up. This is the two black men, both graduating from Harvard University, went into business with each other in money management and made it possible for just about all of us who were able to become broadcast owners. No one got into broadcasting as an owner who did not go through Syndicated Communications, the company that her husband founded. And I'm proud to say that to this day, nearly 40 years later, he is still part of my business. Yes.
In all due respect to you, Cathy, we're going to line up over here, not over here. We're going to line up wherever she is. So, anyway. But so
yeah. You got enough money, you said.
Yeah. So we're breaking the formal press conference, and if you, Cathy will be right in this area if you want to do.